Alright, in the last section we talked about how to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. So just as a quick review, if we were to add 1/5 plus 1/3, remember what we would need in order to do that. We would need a common denominator. So between 5 and 3, that common denominator would be 15. So we would have to write equivalent fractions. And in order to do that, remember we have to multiply top and bottom by the same thing. So 5 times 3 would give us 15, so we have to do the same thing to the top. 1 times 3 would be 3. And in our second fraction, we'd have to multiply 3 times 5 to get 15. So 1 times 5 would be 5. Now we could add those fractions because they have the same denominator, which will stay as 15, and 3 plus 5 would be 8. So that's how we added fractions. Now, if we take this same idea and concept, but now we just apply it to mixed numbers. Now let's say we have 5 and 1/5 plus 7 and 1/3. Well, let's just ignore the whole numbers for just a second. This 1/5 plus 1/3 is exactly what we did a while ago. We had to have that common denominator, which we found to be 15. We converted 1/5 over to 3/15, and we converted 1/3 over to 5/15. Alright, now let me add back in those whole numbers. So this is a 5 and this is a 7. Now let's just add the fraction parts and then the whole number parts. So our 3/15 and our 5/15 would be 8/15, and our 5 and our 7 would be 12. This is how we add mixed numbers. We actually add the fraction part and then the whole number part. So really we already know what to do with this. Now, there's another way of working with mixed numbers, and that would involve changing it into something different. So do you remember how we can change a mixed number into something else? We could change that into a improper fraction by multiplying and then adding. So 5 times 5 would be 25, plus 1 would be 26, over 5, we'd have to keep that same denominator, plus, here we could do the same thing. Change that into an improper fraction by saying 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 would be 22 over 3. So we've just converted those to improper fractions. Now we could get a common denominator and we could work this problem. Again, our common denominator here would be 15. So we would have to multiply 5 times 3 to get 15. So we have to do the same thing to the top. And 26 times 3 would be 78. Now on the bottom, 3 times 5 would be 15. So we'd have to multiply 22 by the same thing. And 22 times 5 would be 110. Now we've converted those to have the same denominator, and we can add these fractions. Now when we add 78 over 15 plus 110 over 15, we get 188 over 15. Now that would be a fine answer, except it's an improper fraction. So in order to get it in a better form, we need to go ahead and do the division. 15 will go into 18 one time. 1 times 15 is 15. And when we subtract and bring down our next digit, 15 will go into 38 two times. 2 times 15 is 30. And subtract, we get a remainder of 8. So this is the same thing as saying 12 and 8 out of 15 left over. We get the exact same answer whether we work with the mixed numbers or whether we convert them to improper fractions and then add. Two different options.